Christmas treats, reads the headline in the AFP. An acute butter shortage in Norway, one of the world's richest countries, has left people worrying how to bake their Christmas goodies with store shelves emptied and prices through the roof. Now, this is just an example of what happens when there is a food shortage crisis. The price of a pound of butter went up to 350 euros, which is more than $460 US, and people were bidding on it on the black and gray markets as well. Just something to keep in mind as the crisis exacerbates. Meanwhile, the Washington Post reports in its Wonk Book blog that the real unemployment rate is 11%. And they go on to give their reasons that since 2007, the percent of the population that either has a job or is actively looking for one has fallen from 62.7% to 58.5%. That's millions of workers leaving the workforce. It's not because they become sick or old or infirm. That's because they can't find a job, so they stop trying. But then it goes on after saying that the, quote, real unemployment rate is 11% to explain how the real un- and underemployment rate is measured by the U6 graph, and it's nearly 20%. You can see it in better detail here at Shadow Government Statistics. They've got a chart showing the official, that is the ones you see in headlines, the official U3 headlines, way down here at the just over 5%, hovering up towards 10%, but that the U6 has consistently been well above 10% since 2008, well in excess of 15% since 2008 on to now, and then how the SGS alternative shows even higher unemployment, over 20%. That's when you factor in all the people who stopped looking for work and a lot of other factors, a way that they measured it up until 1994, when they officially defined out of existence that way of measuring unemployment. So it's all political games is, of course, the point. You also have stuff like this back in August 26th of this year. The Federal Reserve official in Atlanta, Chief Dennis Lockhart, said the real unemployment rate was 16%. Just more confirmation that the 8% number, 9% number, 10% number you see is all just a concocted joke. They've got another article here in Money Central, MSN.com. Real unemployment rate 16.6%. That was in 2010, but really things haven't improved. You've seen the numbers move just slightly. Anyway, we'll be back in just a moment with a very powerful interview from Ben Fuchs. He's a pharmacist. You can hear him on the GCN Live Network. He's also behind the longevity vitamin supplements that Alex promotes at InfoWarsTeam.com. I've taken these myself. They can help you lose weight. They can help you fix all kinds of health problems. Just check out the basic Alex Team Pack, or whatever it is they call it. It's a multivitamin supplement, essential fatty acids, and then if you take that with protein powder, you're going to see incredible results. Stay tuned for that information and a lot of other powerful nutritional information. We'll be back after this.
What's up with these sorry politicians? Lots of bark. When it's showtime, whimpering like little shih tzus. You want big cuts? Ron Paul's been screaming it for years. Budget crisis? No problem. Got $1 trillion year one. That's trillion with a T. Department of Education? Gone. Interior, Energy, HUD, Commerce? Gone. Later, bureaucrats. That's how Ron Paul rolls. Want to drain the swamp? Ron Paul. Do it.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
If you believe in this information and want to support its viral spread, go to the InfoWars store at InfoWars.com. We've got the new G.I. Joe InfoWars t-shirts. We've got the incredible Pro Pure gravity-fed filters available at InfoWars.com in the store. We've got a new DVD, Scientists Under Attack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. We've got all sorts of different bumper stickers to help spread the rebellion virally. It's all there, wristbands, citizen rule books in every order. Order online at InfoWars.com today. The water filters, the canteens, it's all there. InfoWars.com.
And we're back from break on the INFOWARS Nightly News. Now we're joined by pharmacist Ben Fuchs for really an extended interview into everything about health and how really you can solve your own issues just by learning about nutrition and taking it into account.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Ben.
Thank you for having me. I like the way you said that. We can solve our own issues. Do you ever hear that book, The Constitution of No Authority, by Lysander Spooner?
No.
Lysander Spooner was a lawyer in the 1800s, and he wrote a book called The Constitution of No Authority. And his whole take was that we have to abolish authority. And that he was talking about it from a political standpoint. I'm talking about it from a health standpoint. I mean, the word authority always troubled me because the word authority contains the precursor author. So when somebody's an authority, that means they're writing your story.
Right.
I hate authority. I don't want anybody writing my story. We can write our own story, and nothing is more important when it comes to writing our own story than writing our own story about our health.
So why don't you give us some of the basics here?
Okay, cool. Well, one of the things I like to do is simplify things. In pharmacy school, we always learn how to educate the public. You know, think about it, the most trusted profession every year is the pharmacist. And why is that? It's because we're trained in taking very complicated information about medicine, information that people really don't have a lot of don't really understand, and simplifying it and making it more palatable, making it bite-sized for people to grasp. Well, I do that with nutrition. And the way I do it with nutrition is I take this vast, somewhat confusing subject, somewhat overwhelming subject of nutrition. I mean, it's very easy for people just to throw their arms up and say, I give up. And what I like to do is take that vast subject matter and simplify it into bite-sized components. And the way I do it is with what I call the 8 chapters of good nutrition. And the 8 chapters of good nutrition are protein, fat, carbohydrates, fiber, water, vitamins, minerals, and trace nutrients. The first 5 chapters are I call macronutrients. These are nutrients you need a lot of. The last 3 chapters are trace nutrients, like the pixie dust that activates the macronutrients. So when it comes to the 8 chapters of good nutrition, how do you incorporate that into your lifestyle? How do you incorporate it into your lifestyle in an easy way, in a manageable way? So take chapter 1, protein. Your needs for protein are unspeakably huge. The average person needs somewhere around half a gram to a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So you weigh, say, 150 pounds, you're looking at 75 grams to 150 grams of protein if you want to be optimally healthy from a protein standpoint. How are you going to get 150 grams of protein? An egg has around 7 grams of protein. So you're looking, right away, you're looking at 20 eggs just to get your protein from eggs. From steak or from hamburger, you cook your protein, you don't even really know what you're getting, but it's very difficult to get those kinds of quantities. In order to effectively and manageably get 75 to 150 grams of protein if you weigh 150 pounds, the only way to do it is to supplement. And the only way to supplement with protein is to make sure that you're getting some kind of quality powder. The most important quality protein powder that you'll ever find is whey protein, by far. Whey is a complex food that contains not just protein fractions and not just all of the major protein components, which are called amino acids, but it contains specifically the kinds of proteins that are important for building things, for building a body. Because when you think about it, what is milk? Milk is a substance that mammals produce to build an adult mammal from a baby mammal. Well, those factors that are building are concentrated in the portion of the milk that's called whey. And they're especially concentrated in the portion of the milk that's called whey protein. And whey protein is so easy to get. It's available in any health food store. It's available through the longevity products. And it's really the only way to make sure that you're getting these the concentrated amounts of protein that you need through protein powders.
But I mean, people probably know about whey from weightlifting and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
But it's good for everybody?
Heck yes, and I'll tell you why. Number one, if a bodybuilder or an athlete is doing something, we should all be doing it, because just getting your butt out of bed in the morning is an athletic event. Just getting through your day is contains an athletic component, just to function in your day. So if an athlete is doing something for their performance, you want to think of yourself as an athlete of life, and you want to see what they're doing to improve their performance so you can improve your performance in the athletics of life. So it's true, bodybuilders love whey protein. Why? Because it builds muscle. However, whey protein contains other factors that make this a stupendously important food. Whey protein contains something called lactoferrin, which is a natural antibiotic. Whey protein also contains small components that are called globulins that are important for building the calf's immune system. Well, when you do whey protein, those little globulins that build the calf's immune system, they go into your immune system and do exactly the same thing. So not only do you have proteins and amino acids specific for building, but you have lactoferrin, which is a natural antibiotic, and you have immune globulins that support your immune system, all in one food. That's what makes whey protein the single most powerful food, with the exception perhaps of eggs and human mother's milk. And that's your protein source. Now, some people have a problem with whey protein. Some people have a problem with dairy. If that's the case, you have two options. You can use digestive enzymes, which will sometimes get you around the problem with the allergens in whey protein, or you can use some more exotic forms of whey protein that are more heavily processed. Now, you lose some of the value of the whey protein, but it might be easier for somebody to handle if they have allergies, milk allergies. The second thing you can do is you can go into alternative sources of protein, and there's many. Egg protein is an alternative source of protein. Bean protein, soy protein, not quite as good, but it's an alternative source of protein. Hemp seed protein, again, not quite as good, but an alternative source of protein. Brazil nut protein, pea protein, rice protein. These are all sources of protein that you can use in a supplemental fashion. Now, I'm a big believer in food, but one of the big problems with food is we have to cook it. And we have to process it, whether that processing involves chopping or dicing or freezing or boiling, whatever that processing is. And whenever you process a food, you lose the nutritional value. The beautiful thing about whey protein is you don't have to process it, or protein powders is you don't have to process it. You just add it into water and drink it. By the way, I'm a bachelor. I don't really have time to cook or the inclination to cook. So one of the neat things about whey protein is you put it in water, you drink it, or you put it in your blender and you throw a few other things in and you drink it. One dish to wash, no muss, no fuss. You're well nutriated. That's one of the neat things about supplementing is it's brain fart free, brain damage free. It's easy to do. You just add the stuff to water and you drink it. And that's one of the neat things about nutritional supplements as well, is you can get your nutrients without having to waste a lot of time in the kitchen. As far as food goes, that's a whole nother story, because I think foods are very important. But the less work you give your digestive system, the longer you will live. So the key to longevity and the key to health and wellness is to figure out a way to get lots of nutrients without lots of calories. Calories represent heat and calories represent work. Nutrients are, in a way, they're the opposite. Because your body doesn't have to work, the body actually gets work. The body actually gets energy. The body actually gets the raw materials when you take in nutrients. When you take in calories, the body has to process the calories. Calories represent heat. The body stores those calories. A lot of work goes into the digestive process that is bypassed when you use a nutritional supplement program like whey protein powder. And by the way, that's just chapter 1. There's a lot more to it, but that's just chapter 1. Then you go into fat, and another thing, this is another really important thing. Your brain is constantly reading the blood. See, your brain's in the dark. It's in your head. It doesn't know what's outside there. The only way it knows what's in the outside world is by reading the blood that's passing through it. So your brain is constantly scanning the blood for specific nutrients to determine whether you're hungry or not. And when it sees those nutrients, those specific nutrients, it sends the message, hey, we don't need to eat. In other words, it shuts down the appetite. On the other hand, when it's missing those nutrients, it says, go get some food, we're missing nutrients. Well, the key nutrients that the brain is looking for to determine appetite, or lack thereof, is tryptophan, which is a very important amino acid, you can think of it like a protein, and glutamine, which is another very important amino acid, and you can think of it like a protein. So essentially, the brain is reading the blood for specific proteins to determine whether you're hungry or not, or whether we're hungry or not. So if you want to shut down your appetite, protein is your best friend. Concentrated protein is your best friend. If you want to lose weight, concentrated protein is your best friend, because what happens is your protein levels in your blood rise, and as the blood goes through your brain reads the protein levels and it says, all is right in the world. Now, it's specifically reading the blood for these building amino acids, specifically tryptophan and glutamine, which from an evolutionary perspective, these were the amino acids that were in the foods that we hunted. Back when we were paleological, when we lived on the African savanna 50,000 years ago, tryptophan and glutamine meant we just killed a wildebeest, or we just killed a zebra. And it's summertime on the African savanna, and all is right in the world. So you don't have to go eat. Now we can take all that energy, we can put it into muscles. Conversely, when tryptophan levels are low, and glutamine levels are low, protein levels are low in the blood, the brain reads the blood, it sees the protein levels are low, the amino acid levels are low, the tryptophan and the glutamine levels are low. Guess what it does? It sends you out to go find food.
Store up anything you can find.
Store it, exactly.